Sunday, July 19th, 2026. MetLife Stadium, New Jersey. Extra time. Spain 1, Argentina 0. In that instant, two clocks start running at once. One belongs to a 39-year-old man standing near the center circle, hands on his hips, staring at a patch of grass he will probably never play a World Cup match on again. The other belongs to a 19-year-old sprinting past him in the opposite direction, arms out, screaming words no microphone could pick up. Lionel Messi doesn't move. Lamine Yamal does, until, for no reason anyone required of him, he stops. He turns around, and he goes back to hug the man he just helped eliminate. Nobody scripted that. Nobody could have. But it leaves three questions. Football still hasn't answered. What actually happens when the two most famous athletes alive vanish from a sport they spent 20 years rebuilding around themselves? Has the handover already happened? Quietly, without anyone announcing it? And why did the man walking off that pitch look less like someone who just lost a final, and more like someone who already knew exactly what came next? For almost 2 decades, world football hasn't really had one storyline. It's had one argument. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just split 13 Ballon d'Ors between them. 8 for Messi, 5 for Ronaldo. They turned an entire global sport into a two-man debate that never needed to end to stay profitable. Kids picked sides on schoolyards from Lagos to Los Angeles. Broadcasters built highlight packages around whichever of them had scored last. And quietly, entire industries got built on top of that argument. Leagues, broadcast deals, stadiums, even national sporting strategies. Which means the real question isn't what happens when Messi and Ronaldo retire. It's this: what happens to everything that was built to depend on them never actually leaving? Here's what matters before the rest of this makes sense. In 2023, both men made a calculated move. Not away from football, but away from Europe's biggest stages. Toward markets that badly needed their star power. Ronaldo signed with Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia that January. Messi signed with Inter Miami that July. At the time, plenty of pundits called it a retreat. What actually happened looked more like a second career, built increasingly around legacy, ownership, and money rather than trophies. Ronaldo has reportedly earned somewhere around $730 million in wages and bonuses across 3.5 years at Al Nassr, reportedly making him the highest paid footballer in history. Messi's arrival helped push Inter Miami's annual revenue from roughly $56 million to close to $200 million in 3 years, with the club now valued at around $1.45 billion, the highest figure ever recorded for an MLS franchise. Neither man was fading. They were relocating the empire, which is exactly why the summer of 2026 mattered so much. For one last time, both of them were pulled back onto the same continent, chasing the same trophy. Chapter 1. The Last Dance. Ronaldo made it official first. In an interview with CNN in late 2025, he confirmed the 2026 World Cup, his 6th, would be his last major international tournament. He'd be 41 by kickoff. Retirement, he said, was coming soon, probably 1 or 2 years. Messi never made an equivalent statement. He didn't need to. Everyone around him did it for him. Days before the final, he posted a photo of his boots to Instagram with his longtime sponsor, stitched into them, "The Last Tango." Both men arrived in North America carrying 2 decades of history, and somehow still scoring goals at an age when most professional athletes are coaching youth academies. Both had rebuilt their international careers rather than let them fade. Messi with a World Cup and 2 Copa Americas since 2021. Ronaldo, still Portugal's captain and all-time leading scorer. For a few weeks in June and July, it looked like the tournament might hand each of them the ending they wanted. It didn't hand them the same one. Chapter 2. 2 roads, 1 opponent. On July 6th in Arlington, Texas, Portugal's World Cup ended the cruelest way possible. Not with a whimper, but with a single, brutal 91st-minute strike from Spain's Mikel Merino. Ronaldo played all 90 minutes. He created chances. He didn't convert one. When the final whistle sounded, cameras caught him circling the pitch, applauding the fans, visibly emotional. He told reporters afterward it was sad to leave a World Cup that way, but that he'd given everything and left with a clear conscience. 2 days later, he posted a photo from the tournament with a 2-word caption: Portugal sempre. Portugal, always. What he pointedly refused to say was whether that match had also ended his international career for good. "I don't make reckless decisions," he told reporters. The bigger decision could wait. 13 days later, Messi's Argentina walked into the exact same collision course against the exact same opponent that had just ended Ronaldo's international story. Crowd noise builds. Chapter 3. The Handover. Tactically, the final was almost cruel in its simplicity. Spain's midfield, built around Rodri, spent 120 minutes doing one job: keep the ball away from Messi's feet. It worked with alarming efficiency. Argentina finished the match with 2 shots, none on target. Messi never got his moment. Silence. In the 106th minute, Ferran Torres got his instead. What happened over the next 10 minutes is the part people are still discussing. As Yamal and his teammates celebrated, cameras found Messi standing still, hands on hips, grimacing. A posture eerily close to the one photographers captured after Argentina's other World Cup final defeat back in 2014. Same devastation, 12 years and one opponent apart. It's worth pausing on the timing of what happened next. Just hours earlier, in the tournament's third-place match, Kylian Mbappe had scored twice against England to pass Messi as football's all-time leading World Cup goal scorer, 22-21. In the span of a single weekend, Messi lost the trophy he wanted most, and the individual record he had held alone. And then, Yamal, 19 years old, wearing the number 10 at Barcelona that once belonged to Messi, runner-up in that year's Ballon d'Or voting, broke off from his own celebration to embrace the man he has repeatedly called his childhood idol. Nobody announced a changing of the guard. The scoreboard did it for them. What Messi did in the hours immediately afterward may say more than any headline did. While most of the Argentina squad boarded an open-top bus for celebrations in Buenos Aires, Messi skipped it entirely and flew home to Rosario, away from the parade, away from cameras, away from questions. Chapter 4. The Reactions. The mood inside the camp, according to teammates, was heavier than a normal final defeat. Midfielder Leandro Paredes admitted afterward that the loss hurt more because, going into the tournament, several players had quietly believed this would be Messi's international goodbye, regardless of the result. He said he hoped Messi would keep playing, but that the decision belonged to Messi alone, and whatever made him happy would make the squad happy too. Coach Lionel Scaloni, pressed about online speculation over a rift involving his captain and goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, dismissed it outright, while admitting that after a tournament like this one, everyone inside that camp was doing some rethinking about the future. Fans split into 2 camps almost immediately. One insisted Messi still owed the sport one more tournament, at minimum a Copa America. The other argued the story had already written its own ending on July 19th, whether Messi plays again or not. Football historians have reached for comparisons to earlier handovers the sport has lived through. Pelé giving way to Maradona, Zidane's final bow in 2006, though even those comparisons only stretch so far. None of them happened with the outgoing and incoming legend colliding in the same match, for the same trophy, in front of the same 80,000 people. But behind the emotional headlines, something quieter was unfolding in 2 very different cities, Miami and Riyadh, and it had nothing to do with goals scored. Here's the detail almost nobody built into the retirement narrative. Neither man has actually retired. Not from their clubs, and not, as of this recording, from international football either. Messi remains under contract with Inter Miami through December 2028. He'd be 41 when it expires. Reports out of Argentina suggest the federation hopes to see him through at least the 2028 Copa America. Ronaldo remains contracted to Al Nassr through the summer of 2027 and told journalist Fabrizio Romano in June that he hasn't ruled out a 7th World Cup in 2030 when he'd be 45. So the ending everyone just watched at MetLife Stadium, the tears, the hug, the broken record, wasn't really an ending at all. It was theater, layered on top of 2 ongoing, carefully managed business relationships. And that's the actual twist. Retirement at this level has stopped being a single moment. It's become a slow-motion transition, managed the way a company manages a founder's succession, quietly, deliberately, years in advance. Consider what both men have said about life after playing. Messi has said his post-retirement goal isn't coaching. It's staying involved in the sport in another way, language that echoes his own club co-owner, David Beckham, who went from player to franchise owner without ever managing a single game. Ronaldo, meanwhile, has been the subject of unconfirmed reports suggesting a future football executive director role at Al Nassr once his playing days end, particularly if a reported ownership takeover at the club goes through. Neither man is planning to disappear. Both appear to be planning to become something else entirely, the people who own the empires they used to play for. Which raises the real question underneath all of this. Not who replaces Messi and Ronaldo on the pitch, but what replaces the two-man monopoly they built around themselves. The financial numbers already show the transition underway. MLS attendance and sponsorship revenue have climbed since Messi's 2023 arrival, with the league crediting him for pulling in record crowds well beyond Miami's own stadium. Al Nassr's social media following has grown by tens of millions since Ronaldo's move, even as attendance across the Saudi Pro League itself remains modest by European standards. On the pitch, the succession has already begun writing itself, just not around one single heir. Ousmane Dembélé won the 2025 Ballon d'Or. Yamal finished runner-up at 19. Mbappe now holds the World Cup's all-time scoring record outright. Erling Haaland became Norway's record World Cup scorer within 2 matches of the tournament. For 20 years, who's the best player in the world had exactly 2 possible answers. It doesn't anymore. And fans are still adjusting to a version of the sport that isn't built around a duopoly. Messi himself has already weighed in on who inherits his shadow. Asked directly which young player reminded him most of himself, he didn't hesitate. Yamal, he said, because of his age, what he'd already achieved, and everything still ahead of him. Yamal, for his part, has been careful not to accept the crown too eagerly. His stated ambition isn't to be compared to Messi, Ronaldo, or Neymar. It's simply, eventually, to be mentioned in the same breath as them. Emotional ending. Go back to that image one more time. MetLife Stadium, July 19th. Extra time has just ended. A 19-year-old is running toward his teammates. And then, for no reason anyone required of him, he turns around. We keep waiting for legends to announce their own ending. A press conference. A final wave to the crowd. A jersey lifted one last time. Maybe that's not how it actually happens anymore. Maybe it happens exactly like this. Quietly in the middle of someone else's celebration, with one champion pausing just long enough to hold on to the one who came before him. Messi hasn't retired. Neither has Ronaldo. Their contracts run into 2027 and 2028. Their businesses are still growing. Nobody has said the word goodbye out loud. But for a few seconds on a July night in New Jersey, 2 eras stood on the same 6 yards of grass, and one of them held on just a little longer than it needed to. Maybe that's the closest thing football ever gets to an ending. So, was that the last time we'll ever see Messi and Ronaldo on football's biggest stage? Or is the real ending still years away, sitting in a contract clause nobody's read yet? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more stories that dig past the headline, subscribe. Because the biggest moments in football rarely end where the cameras stop rolling.